Hey bakers, welcome back to another one of my videos where I show you how to make delicious treats at home. Today, I will be showing you the technical recipe for laminated dough or croissant dough. Stay tuned and let's get started. So for this, you'll need 250 grams of all-purpose flour, 10 grams of honey, 10 grams of fresh yeast, 5 grams of salt, 120 grams of all-fat milk, 30 grams of sugar, and finally 50 grams of butter. Now for the yeast, you can use dry instant yeast if you can't get this one. If so, you need to use half this quantity since dry yeast is basically evaporated fresh yeast. So the beginning of this is pretty standard and quite easy actually. All you have to do is put all the ingredients together in the bowl. That is, if you have a stand mixer that you can make this with. If you don't have one, you can give this a try by hand. Just know that you'll probably be kneading this for up to 20 minutes or so. So you want to start kneading this on low speed for about 5 minutes until everything gets nicely homogeneous. And then after that, you can pop the speed up to a medium speed. So for this process, you actually need the hook attachment. After 15 minutes or so of kneading at a medium speed, you can check to see if it's ready. All you need to do is roll it up into a small ball and then simply stretch it out very gently. And as you can see, if it's transparent here and you can see the light coming through, then that means it's ready. Now that the dough is all ready, you want to take it out of the bowl and then just roll it with your hands on the work surface. The next step is actually going to help us for the following part, and that means that you want to shape the dough into a sort of square or rectangle with your hands. Then simply cover it with some cling wrap and keep adjusting the edges. If you have a rolling pin, just use it a bit to even out the edges and enhance the square or rectangular shape. And then simply place it on a tray or a plate and let it rest in the fridge overnight. You also want to make sure that your fridge is pretty cold, so that means around 4 to 8 degrees C maximum, because we need to make sure the dough doesn't rise and stays at the same level overnight. So for this next step, we will need to start by preparing some equipment. So we need a piece of parchment paper as well as a piece of paper or cardboard, and that is simply to measure the butter. So I have written here the measurements I use for this application. Start by flouring the work surface and place the dough on it. You can also flour the top of the dough and your rolling pin, and the goal here is to stretch the dough out. While doing so, make sure it doesn't stick, so reach out to grab some more flour. So keep rolling the dough until you're pretty confident about its width, and to check if that's what you need, using the cardboard or paper, you can check for the dimensions. So your dough needs to be twice as large as your paper rectangle and be at the same width. This looks like it will do, so let's set that aside and move on to preparing the butter. So for this, you will need 150 grams of cold butter straight out of the fridge. So inside the parchment paper, start by tapping on the butter in order to spread it out. We are trying to achieve a piece of butter that is the same size as our measuring paper. So you can flip the butter to have the smooth side on top and take the measurements, so you can then adjust accordingly the parchment paper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it here and then at the bottom as well to secure the butter inside. You want to make sure that you seal this extremely well so the butter doesn't come out of the frame. And when that's done, it is time to roll it out until we fill the whole frame. We now have an even sort of rectangular butter, and the idea is that we're going to take that and put it inside of the other dough. So always on a very floured work surface, you can grab the previously stretched dough and place the butter on the edges or on one of the edges while leaving a portion of the parchment paper. So then once it's on, remove the parchment paper and fold the dough on top of it. You can adjust it with your hands and then you can start rolling with a floured rolling pin. The goal here is to have a long dough that is approximately 3 millimeters thick. Remember, you need to be gentle when doing this rolling of the dough. You can now trim the edges to have even borders, and preferably use a sharp knife at this stage. Now for the book fold turn, while brushing the excess flour, you can grab a portion of the dough and fold it, and then fold the remaining dough until they meet in the middle. Always remember to keep that excess flour while brushing it. You can then take the side with no seam and fold it on top of the other one. And voila, the book fold turn is done. You can adjust the edges of the dough very gently with your hands. And finally, you want to cover the dough with some cling wrap that you can apply tightly around it. Then place it on the tray or the plate, and it needs to go back to the fridge for approximately 30 minutes. So now you can take the dough out of the fridge and remove the cling wrap. You can repeat the rolling action and stretch the dough until it is 3 times as long as it is large, while keep adjusting it with your hands on each side. And now for the single turn, you can flip a third of the dough, then the other third over it. Always make sure to brush off the excess flour using a pastry brush. And once you're done, you can cover that again with some cling wrap and let it rest in the fridge for approximately 30 minutes. So once the dough has rested in the fridge, you can make some croissants or even my pistachio rolls with it. I've linked the recipe right here. I will be making some other video recipes that call for this dough, so this is a base recipe to keep. Hope you guys like this video. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to be the first to see my next recipes. Thank you for watching. See you next week, and as always, bon appetit!